Why hello, and welcome to my channel, my brand new channel, where we're talking mainly, so far, about my favorite thing in the world, vintage Barbie. It's that time of year right now, some new things are coming out, I'm feeling it, I love all this stuff. But today is all about the rarest Barbies and friends that you can find as a Barbie collector. Now I'm laying out pieces today that are what collectors look for. And I have arranged them as best as I can from least rare, they're still rare, to the most rare. Am I gonna be exactly accurate on this? No. I am using a very scientific measurement, which is my memory from collecting for the past 10 years. Also, I'm gonna be going to eBay and I'm gonna be seeing how many are available and what they're priced. Now, I told you in my first video that I was gonna say how much these things cost. Now, when I show you the prices of this stuff, don't think it's some sort of flex or that I actually spent that much money on these. I've been collecting for a really long time. Some of these pieces, I promise you, I found at auction for 75 bucks and under. But prices change over 10 years, and because I want to be straight up and I want you guys to know what these things are going for, and if you happen to be out looking around for vintage Barbies, you might stumble upon one of these and realize you've sort of hit a gold mine. I'm going to tell you how many are on eBay, what they're going for, and the condition they're in, whatever, just so we get a general idea of what it's like today on eBay using US currency. And another disclaimer, I'm not going to be talking about a number 1, 2, or 3 Ponytail Barbie. We all know that the first Barbies are very valuable, they're very rare. A number 1 or 2 can be upwards of $20,000. And the number 3 upwards of maybe $2,000. And yeah, they're valuable, we all know that. But I don't want to cover that today because maybe some of this other stuff you guys aren't exactly aware of. So let's just begin with 1970s Walking Jamie. Walking Jamie was a Sears exclusive in 1970. She came in blonde, brunette, and Tishan. From what I understand, she is sort of what they use to test out this new walking mechanism that you would see later in Walk Lively Steffie. And what I mean by that is she walks and she turns her head as she does it. She's still very much in a mod look. This dress, these boots, she's super cute. If you look at her face up close, she's like a softer version of a TNT Barbie with big brown eyes. She's very cute, and she's really desired by a lot of collectors. Right here she has the same dress, but this gift set came with a coat and a hat and a dog for her to walk. Now, as of today, there were about 10 available on eBay, ranging from about $150 in dolls that need work to about $700 in mint condition. This is a piece that a lot of collectors want to have, and she's not that difficult to obtain, really, especially if you look at auctions, you wait, you could get her for a really good price. One issue that happens is her walking mechanism does sort of break down, her legs can get sort of loose, which doesn't happen as much with Walk Lively Steffie Probably because, like I said earlier, they were testing out that function with this doll, or so I've heard. On to the next doll. '66 Color Magic Barbie is actually maybe not as rare as you would think, but she's so highly desired by collectors that her price is always very high. There were two versions, one where her hair started midnight black and became a ruby red, and another where her hair started at this golden blonde and became scarlet flame. Scarlet flame would be just a bit of an orangier version, basically, of the ruby red. Finding a Color Magic that still has midnight black hair that hasn't been changed to ruby is very, very rare. They're very valuable, but let's be real, the yellow hair is probably more fun anyway. Now, a lot of people think that this is some like crazy solution that you would need to make this happen. It's just baking soda and water, or vinegar and water. If I were to get a little bit of baking soda and water, turn it into a solution, and rub it through her hair, it would turn that scarlet flame. If I wanted to go back to this shade, I would get some vinegar, water, and go back to it. They would still work, but the thing is, this doll actually has had her hair changed to scarlet flame, and it was very scarlet flame, but over time it goes back. The swimsuit on this is actually a little more expensive than most Barbie swimsuits as well, because it changes color with the solution as well. They have bend legs, they have really blue eyeshadow. When you see them for sale, you'll probably see something that says high color or low color. That's just referring to the makeup. You can see on this one, she has rosy cheeks and her makeup is still fresh. She looks vibrant, and usually that's what they're referring to. There were also a few Color Magic outfits. This one was designed by Carol Spencer. I think she did all of the Color Magic outfits. This one's called Pretty Wild. I just looked it up on eBay. There was one in fair condition, missing the hat, available for $250. I know. As far as the dolls, when I looked on eBay today, there were about 10 available, and they were priced from about $500 to $4,500, somewhere in there. I don't know who would pay $4,500 for one, but there you go. Let's move on to the next one. Now, Miss Barbie was only out for 1 year, and people say it's because her sleep eyes, her eyes that open and close when you lay her down, frighten children. And that very well may be the case. I'm sure they did, actually. I mean, she kind of frightens me a little bit, but also she was a lot more expensive than the normal Barbie. And the set that she came in was pretty elaborate too. It had a swing and all this stuff. Honestly, I think that might have a little something to do with it as well, but sure, I can definitely see how she would scare kids. Anyway, she is still pretty hard to come by, especially without melt marks over her forehead, because the wigs that you would put her in would typically leave those marks. And I found that the wig cap that she came in does not do that. If you have a fashion queen, that can also happen if you leave the wigs on too long, just so you know. It hasn't happened to me, but I mean, people have said. When I looked today on eBay, there were 4 available, ranging in price from $200 to $400, and they all had issues, but you know, they weren't that bad. I think still totally displayable. She's a nice piece to have for your early vintage shelf. And because she's so much different than all of the other Barbies really that have ever been made, and you know, because she's such an early piece, I think it's definitely one to have if you're a collector. Let's move on to the next piece. She's elusive. She's difficult to find, for sure. Now, you might look at the stall and think, what's so special? And if you were a vintage Barbie collector, you would know. Not only does she have a Steffie face and a nice dark bronze tan, she's also got this sort of strawberry auburn hair, brown eyes. A lot of people love this doll. She's pretty hard to find. When I looked on eBay today, there were 3 available, none with her original outfit. They were ranging in price from $200 for one that needed a lot of work and $450 for a mint condition one. So there were 3 available. But if you're a vintage collector, especially from the 70s, Yellowstone Kelly is a doll you're gonna wanna look for. Let's go on to the next one. Talking Busy Steffie and Talking Busy Barbie are very highly prized amongst collectors. More so would be Steffie, and you can see why. She has this amazing country look going on. And I mean, pink plaid leg warmers. She's really got it going on. But I also love the Barbie version. I've always sort of said this is sort of like a mod Mario sort of look. She's very cute. I'm not gonna pull the strings on either one of these. She does talk, I know for sure, but the last time I pulled her string, she sounded a little funky. I don't wanna make anything worse. When I looked at eBay today, there were 2 of each of them available. Barbie was running for between $200 and $450. 200 without the outfit, I believe. And Steffie was, I believe, between 400 and 950. 950 was, I think she was in the box. And a lot of collectors want both of these. They're pretty hard to come by. And because they are talkers, their legs fall off a lot. It makes them harder to come by. So let's go to the next one. The 1972 Montgomery Ward reissue of the original Ponytail Barbie is now pretty difficult to find. I looked on eBay, there were only 2 available between $400 and $850. I definitely did not pay that for this one, even though amazingly she's in mint condition, still tagged. This is basically just the original Barbie with much tanner skin, which was pretty in vogue at that period of time. And you know, Montgomery Ward, big catalog business. They had some retail stores too. And yeah, she's pretty hard to find now, but what's cool is just finding a pretty authentic version of an early Ponytail Barbie that just has a totally different skin tone and this sort of chestnut brunette hair. And I think she's a great piece to have. I don't dress her up, I like her just like this. Next on the list. Next on the list. So the 67 TNT came in several different shades. I'm gonna go ahead and list them here. A lot of people think that there were no Titians and that these are just oxidized versions of a summer sand, or I forget which one. Today there were 4 on eBay going from $375 to $650. Now, one of the cool things about the 67 TNT is that their hair changes color and you get a lot of different cool shades. like a sort of a lavender platinum thing happens sometimes, or a black cherry. But the rarest one is a straight up Titian like this. Some people think that there were original Titians made. I don't know, I think they're probably just oxidized brunettes, but they're really pretty. And if you collect mod Barbie, a lot of people want to have every shade of the TNT. You don't have to, but it's pretty cool. So let's go to the next one. You guys know I love live action Christie. I think I brought her up on the 2 videos I've made so far. Just look at her, just look at this outfit. She is definitely the hardest to find of the live action set. Definitely the hardest to find Christie. She is pretty rare. I saw there were 4 available on eBay. They were ranging from $400 to $1,250. This is a Carol Spencer outfit. Very much a hippie look. If you're as big a fan of Christie as I am, you gotta find a live action Christie somewhere. Anyway, we gotta move on. Next up. Both Busy Steffie and Busy Francie are very hard to find, usually because these are some of the most defective dolls ever made. Their limbs, if you play with them at all over time, are guaranteed to fall off. And that's why I think on eBay I saw one of these for sale and it was $450 today. The rest did not have legs. This one I found a couple of in the range of about $300 to $475. But I actually think I found this one on eBay and they didn't know what it was, they just said Barbie. And I got it for like 40 bucks. As I was saying, because they're so delicate, not many of them survive. I really don't even think that this Francie is that cute. I mean, she's pretty cute, but she's in her original outfit. I would never take her out or touch her or do anything because I know her legs are gonna fall off at any second. And this one doesn't seem to be quite as delicate, but I know that all the Busy dolls are. And by Busy, you can see they have these hands. They can move up and down like that. And they're just more free moving, bit more like what you'd see in the live action dolls. Anyway, this is one of the only 3 Steffies ever made, all 3 of them from 1972. And a lot of vintage collectors want to have all 3 versions of Steffie. This was, I believe, a Carol Spencer outfit as well. You guys know in the 70s, a lot of peasant looks were coming up. So let's move on to the next one. Now, I'm gonna be real here. This one is a repro. Because, honestly, not even I'm crazy enough to spend $1,400 on a doll that's exactly like another one, but with a different haircut. She's not culturally that significant, let's be real. Some collectors, you know, they just have to have it. And if I was a millionaire, sure, give me 4, why not? No bangs Francie. Like I said, she's Francie, but she doesn't have bangs, you guys. So, ka-ching. For on eBay, they ranged in price from $1,200 to $3,200. A Francie with bangs from a couple of years before, about $70 to $150 maybe. Let's go to the next one. Cara. time there's ever been a Cara. There were actually 3 versions of her. Here is Quick Curl Cara from 1975, and the yellow is Deluxe Quick Curl Cara from 76. And this was a big deal as it was a new, obviously, African-American character using the beloved Steffie sculpt, and she's just hard to find. There weren't that many made, so she's valuable. And as a black doll from that period, even there in the mid-70s, she's still very valuable. When I checked eBay, there were a few in Europe and one in America listed for $800. Yikes. This outfit, this print, these sheer sleeves, everyone loves it. You can see why. She's a beautiful doll. Let's move on to the next one. You knew it was coming. I mean, it had to, and it had to top the list. I did exclude the number 1, Barbie, let's be real. But still, a black Francie is one of the most desired, probably the most desired vintage Barbie doll that there is. And there were 2 editions. This earlier one had this sort of dark auburn hair, which does oxidize over time. Sometimes they get really orange. This one's still pretty close to how it was originally. The second edition has much darker hair, and it stays that way. Her original swimsuit, there was only one on eBay, and it was not in mint condition, and it was still $450. This is the first black doll in the Barbie lineup. I know my last video was all about Christie, and I made a big deal about that, and she is a big deal. But obviously, she is too. They made so few of these, and being that it was the first one, obviously collectors really want one. They made a few repros. It's not like you can't have something like that in your collection. There were 4 on eBay when I looked. The prices were $1,400 to $4,500, just depends on condition. And if you're lucky enough to find one at auction, I mean, who knows, you could find it for a great deal. This is number 1. This has to be number 1. You should have known it was gonna be number 1. I'm glad you stuck with me through this. And if you guys haven't been to my Instagram, I have a lot of fun over there, and the followers have a lot of fun over there too, because I do giveaways. And when I say I do giveaways, I mean, I do fucking giveaways. Let me roll it for a second. Yeah, we have fun over there. For those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so much. I'll see you next time.